We're jumping in for game one here between the Hut and the Gosu Crew. Let's see what's going on, Gelu.
Oh, it seems like Gareki is instantly put into that intimidation stun, trading out the bark skin as SSDS tries to find some pressure on him using his coordinated assault. It looks like Cubsy is the one that's taking the majority of the pressure. He's now put into an in-cap. Don't have the follow-up stun yet for him though, as he does escape only with Iron Bark, holding onto his bark skin for now.
Oh, SSDS under a lot of pressure in game one. Chun-Li cycloned away by Cubsy. Gareki jumps in to intercept to get a clone of his own, but SSDS shuts him down. That is going to allow Chun-Li a big opportunity to get pressure out. Fist of Fury onto 2 targets. Cubsy escaping to safety, not wanting to stack up for any potential double stuns or double Fist of Fury pressure. Gareki looking for a clone. SSDS line of sighting it on the pillar. Good positioning there and awareness. Cubsy looking for a re-stealth. Trap on Chun-Li. A little bit premature, maybe a miss, maybe an intended trap on Gareki, or Cubsy was supposed to re-stealth at that point, but now Cubsy getting caught as we see the Gosu Crew pounce.
Yeah, he might be doing these traps to try and force the spell and then use Maledict offensively, perhaps. There's a nice way to try and bait that and set up for a go as they go onto Gareki here. They're trying to hold onto his bark skin. Does seem to kind of get away with it for now. Leaps over to Cubsy, trying to get some offensive pressure on him. Cubsy trades out the Iron Bark onto himself, but Chun-Li is in hot pursuit. Cubsy tries to get the clone, but gets double leg sweeps. Chun-Li put into the trap, but is instantly dispelled by Gareki. Cubsy now into the low clone.
Oh man, this is going to be so hard for Cubsy to recover. No Iron Bark or Bark Skin, cycloned endlessly. SSDS has created a surprising amount of pressure though. Despite that, maybe it's going to be a cross kill. We end up going to a 1v1. Cubsy's in a lot of trouble. Gareki looks to finish him off, and it looks like he might be able to. Gareki and Chun-Li tag team to take down Cubsy. Gareki now on the run, but has a lot of defense available. It would be surprising to not just see him activate all of it at the same time to get out of this situation. SSDS going to tap out. The fight has already begun. Gareki and Cubsy both in stealth. Gareki starting the fight. Cubsy waiting in anticipation. Not going to be starting with a stun of his own. Instead, playing very far away from the fight, perhaps realizing he was the target too often. And the Diamond Ice Trap has been selected from SSDS. So this Diamond Ice Trap is a shorter duration, but it is undispellable. It basically acts as a stun or a cyclone effect. And this could be very effective for SSDS and Cubsy to win this. I'm very interested to see how it plays out. Right now, Cubsy getting swapped to. Could be in some trouble.
Yeah, Cubsy gets stumped up there, and the Touch of Death was committed, so he chooses to instantly trinket that out, not shaving any sort of time there. Doesn't use his Iron Bark though, just trades out the Bark Skin instead, other way around actually. But now damage going onto Gareki as Gareki tries to find a clone onto SSDS. Gareki pre-bears the stun onto him. Chun-Li with the Ring of Peace on the incoming clone. Now trying to get some offensive pressure onto Cubsy, who does pre-bear once again. It looks like the Diamond Ice Trap was actually eaten by one of Chun-Li's images. Very unfortunate for SSDS there, and not able to get that clone onto Chun-Li as soon as he can. But now Cubsy is able to just land that as he did fake Chun-Li's kick.
Cubsy and SSDS both going after Gareki. Chun-Li trying to force them and keep them at bay with Fists of Fury. Managing to at least force Cubsy to retreat. SSDS is now going after Gareki, stunning him up out of bear form. Gareki's going to respect this stun lock and use Bark Skin to reduce damage. Look to escape from line of sight of Cubsy. He doesn't want to get cycloned at low health. Cubsy now in a paralysis. Gareki needs to look to set up crowd control out of this. He's going to jump in for bash and set up damage. It seems like Cubsy is just going to be the target, much more so than crowd control. SSDS walking into Fist of Fury, getting cleaved down a bit. Cubsy looking to recover, trying to find a clone, but Chun-Li intercepts him with Ring of Peace. Tries to get a Transcendence kick there, potentially, but not able to find it, and does ultimately get cycloned. This now allows SSDS a lot of time to build pressure, but he's also being counter-engaged on. I mean, both the Druids can do almost as much damage as a damage dealer specialization with Feral Affinity, so SSDS is not always going to win these exchanges one-on-one with Gareki, and eventually may need to be careful.
Yeah, Chun-Li takes the eye there and crackles Cubsy out. Now he has the leg sweep onto SSDS as he tries to force some pressure. Iron Bark is traded out onto SSDS. SSDS Diamond Ices Chun-Li and disengages away, trying to get some pressure onto Gareki. Here's the stun onto him, and he tries to pop some damage. He gets the Bark Skin from Gareki, but that's not really enough, as his stuns are only a minute cooldown as well, which kind of trades with the Bark Skin almost every single time. Looks like the damage is back onto Cubsy now as Chun-Li puts out his Fist of Fury. Doesn't quite have a stun yet though. Looks like Gareki may want to try and get a re-stealth soon so he can set up the next go, so he does not have Bark Skin.
Chun-Li is just playing absolutely insane. He's denied so many attempts from Cubsy on Cyclone and put him so far behind. You can tell that he's ready to go and take this series, take the rematch against the Hut. The Hut need to step it up here if they want to find victory. They're going to be jumping in onto Gorecki, but Gorecki anticipates it, gets into bear form. This reduces a lot of physical damage, which of course a Hunter is going to be dealing a lot of. Disengaging over, trying to get out of Fist of Fury and get back onto Gorecki, but still taking quite a beating. Touch of Death is available. Curious to see where Chun-Li allocates it, landing a stun on the Cubsy, baiting his Gladiator's Medallion, but I mean, he may have just needed to do it anyway. Now Touch of Death can be lined up perfectly. Chun-Li still got a lot of pressure. Is he just outright going to kill Cubsy? This is absolutely insane. Chun-Li peels back to save Gorecki, not wanting to overextend, but now into a Diamond Dice trap. Cubsy needs to time a Cyclone out of this. He doesn't get it. Chun-Li intercepts it. In a Ring of Pieces, SSDS off Gorecki. Chun-Li connects the Touch of Death immediately off the back of it. Chun-Li playing absolutely insane, rolling over for an interrupt potentially onto Cubsy, not falling for the fake cast, now getting faked out. Cubsy goes for the clone at very low health. He needs to get this. Can he recover at 44% dampening? Innervate's available, fortunately for him, getting a couple of free casted heals, but his health is just not going up. SSDS is desperate. He's trying to kill Gorecki, but he can't overextend. He traps Chun-Li before pushing forward. Cubsy needs to get a clone. He goes for a stun out of it to guarantee it, but Chun-Li trinkets to intercept. Gorecki tries to go for one, but now Gorecki may have overextended. SSDS pressured. Potential cross kill opportunity. Aspect of the turtle available for SSDS. He can immune all damage with its activation, but needs to activate it before dying ultimately. He's very low and he's stunned up. Trinket into turtle. Pressure is in favor of the Gosu Crew at this point. What is Cubsy going to do?
It seems like the Hut are just getting decimated right now, but here is another go from the Gosu Crew. Once again, in-cap onto Cubsy, but SSDS managed to get the Diamond Eyes on the Chun-Li on that, so he was not able to get any sort of pressure off that, but they still have not been able to recover. Dampening is so high now. The Touch of Karma goes out onto SSDS. He gets cloned up on it, though, instantly from Cubsy. Great play from him. Cubsy now put into the rake stun by Gorecki. He trades out the Bark Skim, but will it be enough? Chun-Li dashing after Cubsy. He's trying to finish him off. The Baltic flies in from Gorecki, and Cubsy might be able to get away just a little bit.
He's got no mana. Gorecki is going to kill him if he gets to him. Cubsy's running away from Gorecki, but Chun-Li's on the other side. Where does he go? He stuns Gorecki, but Chun-Li is going to just KO him, holding on by a thread here out in midfield. How is he even still alive? Bashing Chun-Li, but it's not enough. SSDS is going to tap out. Now this is a 2-0 lead for the Gosu Crew.
Be a good idea.
And just dampen, you know, just drag out the fight. But he's not running down.
He's playing a normal trap. He has gone for the normal trap as they push onto Gorecki currently. Looks like SSDS currently has the most pressure, but instantly is being reversed onto Cubsy. He's put into the half rake, into the full kick from Chun-Li. Cubsy dashing away now, trying to get the clone onto Chun-Li. The clone lands, but the clone also lands onto SSDS. Cubsy now popping Innovate, trying to stay ahead on the mana, as last game he did run
Oh, Gorecki stunned up out of bear form by Cubsy. They're really going after Gorecki this time around. They're showing no fear despite being on match point. Gorecki is disrespecting, not activating Iron Bark for a very long period of time. Finally stabilizing here for a bit. Chun-Li trying to keep SSDS off his back. Freezing Trap dispelled. This is an opportunity to go for Maledict. They are going to use the Maledict, but I think Gorecki may have shadow melded it, avoiding its absorption effect. Is Cubsy going to go for his Maledict? Doesn't look like it. Gorecki now with Innervate time to try and get some free healing here around the corner, but he's got two members of the Hut chasing him down and dealing quite a relentless amount of damage. SSDS cycloned away. Hibernate attempt onto the Raptor. Actually interrupted. That could put Gorecki behind. Cubsy is sneaking away from the battle, looking for a re-stealth. He's going to allow him to stun a target and then go for a Cyclone. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication there. A stun and a Freezing Trap on Chun-Li at the same time. Seems like the coordination in terms of crowd control between Cubsy and SSDS could definitely be improved. SSDS just trying to truck through with brute force, but will brute force be enough to defeat the Gosu Crew?
Doesn't seem like it, as Cubsy is put into a bash, trades out the Bark Skin, but Chun-Li does have that Touch of Death for the next go, which will surely be the trinket of Cubsy. Looks like SSDS wants a piece of the action, so he joins in, tries to catch onto Gorecki, but he just can't get there, and there he is. He grapples over, but Gorecki excellently kites away. There's no stun available for him right now. There's Gorecki just sitting tidy, not losing any health, as SSDS is currently on the ropes.
Yeah, and the mana is slowly but surely eking ahead here for the Gosu Crew. This could be a 3-0, which would be surprising. I feel like we were all saying the Hut were our favorites to take the entire thing. Obviously the highest seeded team in the tournament in terms of 2v2. Cubsy needs to try and get something going here. He's going to re-stealth. He's going to stun Chun-Li, move over and stun Gorecki. Cubsy on point here in terms of offense. SSDS trying to back up with damage, but Ring of Peace denying him from connecting. does manage to secure a freezing trap, but dispelled now into a Tracker's Net. Chun-Li, it doesn't look like Tiger's Lust available. Tracker's Net on the Touch of Death, I think prevents its damage from exploding as well. Nope, Touch of Death immediately 50% of SSDS's health just gone even around the corner. Cubsy now trying to recover from that, but dampening at 38% is going to make it difficult. SSDS is trying his best to kill Gorecki. I feel like it's almost impossible for him to be able to kill Chun-Li in this matchup, but if Chun-Li just constantly bounces between Cubsy and SSDS, it seems so difficult for them to actually push forward. Cubsy was trying to drink. Gorecki finds him. He sits down again. Can Gorecki stop him? Cubsy, how much mana did you get from this? It could be very critical to their team's victory and lives in the tournament. He's got a slight edge at least off the back of that. Gorecki now looking for Cyclones, not finding it just yet. Maybe a bit worried about being interrupted. Now trying to Cyclone, full Cyclone, stun, perfect cross CC. Cubsy anticipates it and Iron Barks prior to its activation, but now Gorecki switches the clone and denies recovery on SSDS. And despite getting that drink from Cubsy, this is just simply difficult to heal through at this point.
Yeah, the damage Chun-Li is dishing out is absolutely unhealable. But on the other hand, Chun-Li does not have Touch of Karma, and he does not have that human Rachel, so he could fall down in a stun if they could try and get the opportunity. But it looks like SSDS trying to kite Chun-Li into a trap that he looks like he missed earlier. Can't quite get him into it, though, as he grapples over to Gorecki, tries to get some pressure onto him, but Cubsy gets rolled into by Chun-Li, kicks him in the head, and forces the turtle out from SSDS.
Oh, this is just Chun-Li and Gorecki are just... They are wide awake in this tournament, playing absolutely perfectly, and the Hut are just not getting a break. They're just not the trap that's been there for probably the better part too. It was a trap all along. Cubsy cycloned, big trouble for SSDS. He has no defense. He stuns Chun-Li, but he would have liked to stun Gorecki. The one thing going for them is that Gorecki is almost out of mana. Perhaps that could be a win condition. SSDS trying to attack Chun-Li, but he uses Fists of Fury to parry all of the attacks. Drops a freezing trap. Chun-Li walks into it. Unfortunately breaking, I think, or at least instantly dispelled. Cubsy now being pressured by Gorecki. Gorecki all over the Hut right now, dotting him up with Sunfire, Moonfire, just min-maxing his damage absolutely to the limit. Huge connection on that Touch of Death, and now the mana that Cubsy recovered earlier, it's all gone. He Cyclones Chun-Li, denies some damage for now, but they're desperate. They're in dire straits, and they face elimination in the very immediate future if they can't take Gorecki down. Do they go all in? Do they make the push? Their tournament lives are on the line. They stun Chun-Li. They try and stay in the fight, but the pressure is unrelenting. Cyclone at low health. That exhilaration did nothing at 52% dampening. Gorecki swaps the clone over, moves in cap form to close the deal, and the Gosu Crew clean sweep the Hut here. Not the most neutral balanced map.
The Rogue Paladin.
Okay, Paladin showdown. We had a Druid showdown between Gorecki and Cubsy. Now we're gonna have a Paladin showdown between Corlick and Zach. Zach already crowd controlled, and Nick leading the charge. This is a good position so far for Where It At.
Yeah, opting to run with that Repentance talent, very good idea from Corlick, allowing himself to get some quite long CC chains. He actually forced Karma within the first 30 seconds of the game, not even committing a Vendetta yet. Drake looking for some counter pressure here, using his Storm, Earth, and Fire, trying to connect something to Nick. The in-cap onto Corlick, followed by the Hodge, but Drake just gets kidneyed on his go. And not really forcing too many cooldowns out of Nick.
All right, Zach crowd controlled again. Drake tries to Transcendence away. Does Corlick have a freedom? Nick in hot pursuit to reconnect, not really able to. Making his way over with those throwing knives to make Drake snared. Shadow Step kick attempt there by Nick. Gets Aura Masteried by Zach. So Divine Favor allowing him to immune interrupt effects, baiting Nick. And now kick is no longer available. So Nick and Corlick, it looks like they're going to be doing 3-2-1 setups where they're waiting for Hammer of Justice Repentance. They're just trying to bide time. When Hammer of Justice Repentance is up, they'll go for crowd control. Maybe a bit of a miscoordinated effort here. Kidney shot on Drake, but no crowd control from Corlick. This is more of maybe to try and burn down the mana of Zach. Now, Zach is running Avenging Crusader as opposed to Avenging Wrath. This is a very big damage talent from the Holy Paladin. I'm wondering when he's going to show his hand as to that talent being selected. He hasn't activated it just yet, so Where It At don't know if Zach is running that extra damage. Touch of Death is still waiting in the wings, and that could be a 1-2 punch to KO Where It At any moment. Beautiful crowd control here from Where It At. If they can keep this up, I feel like this is a winning strategy.
Yeah, definitely could be. Moving into dampening with a bop for the Karma that could easily take it in a longer game. This is the Vendetta committed by Nick. Not getting too many cooldowns from Drake there as he gets double stunned. Fist of Fury onto Nick. Can they get an in-cap onto Korlik? Doesn't look like they have one available just yet as Korlik trades out his Avenging Crusader to try and heal him up. Here comes a Smoke Bomb onto Drake though. Full Smoke Bomb, no Vendetta available. Doesn't look like they're going to get too much damage out here, but does not have his wall yet.
Korlik charging across midfield, looking for a Hammer of Justice. Drake is already low on health, full blind on the Divine Favor. Is anyone running a Blood Elf? No, they're playing Alliance, so they're not going to be able to dispel that, but they can crowd control through it. Drake's on the run. Do they bop off the Karma and just win the game? Drake gets sapped out of line of sight, trying to get Korlik in there for a judgment. Drake rolls back to midfield. Zach goes for the big heal. It's very slow, though. Holy Light gets off. Drake starts to stabilize, but traded Karma anyway. So Touch of Karma now not going to be available. Korlik's playing it patiently, not popping it off. Zach is moving in now, maybe for crowd control. Hammer Justice swap to Korlik. Oh no, Zach getting clipped by the corner there. Finally getting in line of sight, but Nick intercepts with a stun of his own, preventing Drake's attacks onto Korlik. Great teamwork between Korlik and Nick so far. Gladiator's Maledict attempt dispelled. Will they go for Gladiator Maledict number 2? They do. They have Diffuse Magic. If they want to use it, they are. So this Maledict attempt is totally shut out. Now Korlik in trouble.
Yeah, I'm not sure how great Maledict is in this setup when they can just dispel one and diffuse the other without much counterplay to that. I'm not sure how effective it is in this 2v2 bracket. Does look like Drake is put into yet another kidney. No Karma available, and we are getting Vendetta coming up very, very soon for Nick. They still have that bop, so he can just go ham when he wants to. The leg sweep is popped onto Nick, the Hodge onto Korlik. Looks like Korlik is taking the brunt of the damage from Drake right now, choosing to hold onto his Touch of Death right now for a little bit more dampening. Rolls over, gets a full Spearhand Strike onto Korlik. Korlik not Divine Favoring just yet. Here comes the Vanish out from Nick. The cheap shot onto Zach. Looks for the Repentance. Repentance lands full kidney onto Drake. Trades out his Fortifying Brew. Rolls back to the safety of Zach and disarms Nick.
Korlik also running the Concentrated Flame main essence, so he can add in a massive burst damage with that when Judgment is paired up with it. I like that extra offense that Korlik's bringing on the Paladin to try and kill Drake in a stun, because as a Windwalker, if you don't die in a stun, you're likely to escape and run for a long time and stay alive. So that extra burst damage is definitely going to be important for the team of Where It At in their victory if they are able to win. Mana currently tied. Zach is blinded. Big power play here. Do they bop this Karma? They do. They're going all in to kill Drake. Ring of Peace denies the Repentance from Korlik. Korlik being pressured on that aggressive bop. He's on Forbearance. Drake could go for a Touch of Death. They might just take Korlik out if Drake can stay on target. But Nick intercepts again with a kidney shot. Bit surprising to not see the Vendetta pulled at this point, holding on to it. Now Korlik's in a lot of trouble, still on Forbearance, likely for a few more moments. Is he just going to die? Leg sweep to follow up. Touch of Death about to explode. Big Holy Light, 1 second left. Touch of Death goes off. Korlik holds on by a thread, still on Forbearance, and falls. Drake finds that miracle moment, punishes the aggressive play. Shielded or used Trinket to break out of it.
Korlik opting for the double bop this game rather than the single as he was on the first game.
I don't know. I'm wondering if that was maybe a mistake on his part, not selecting that. Zach is in Repentance. This is already the same beginning as game 1. How is Drake going to deal with this? He's basically 1-on-2. He grapple weapons Nick. He paralysis to stop Sap. Drake at 50% health, but recovering, stunning Nick, and now looking to counterattack. Zach moves in for crowd control on the healer, preventing Korlik from recovering his rogue, who took a huge amount of burst in that little couple seconds. Nick now shadow stepping back over. Smoke bomb play. This is where they're trying to punch the Windwalker for overextending, but Drake stays in range of his port, transcendencing back, relaying it to make sure that he can use it later on when it comes off cooldown. And now Nick just building combo points, although playing close to Zach, perhaps just waiting for Zach's Avenging Wrath. This time around, Zach not running the Avenging Crusader, so not seeing the value out of it overall, even though it did net them a kill, or at least assisted in netting it. Korlik stunned by Hammer of Justice, breaks out to land one of his own, which then Zach breaks out immediately. Team's burning through some precious cooldowns very early on.
Yes, human racials flying out left and right. Looks like Korlik is taking a lot of damage currently, but Drake not able to overextend as Nick is hot on his heels. The Vendetta is popped onto Drake. Can they try and get the Touch of Calm with this? Doesn't look like they can get any crowd control. Nick looking for a re-stealth, realizes he cannot get that as he gets disarmed. Ultimately not forcing anything with that Vendetta. Very, very unfortunate for them as they get double stunned here. Nick chooses to trinket out instantly with a half stun onto Drake just to try and peel out Korlik, as he did use that human racial earlier.
Now, I'm sure if I'm Drake, I'm salivating over my Touch of Death key binding at this point, because all of these trinkets used to get out of stuns have basically been used, so now Drake can use leg sweep in 40 seconds and potentially do a touch of death attempt on Nick. Nick is sitting on his vanish, and I'm wondering if he will use that defensively. He's been getting really nice stuns onto Drake every time Corlick is, preventing a lot of damage, but this is a Gladiator's Maledict attempt on the Corlick, so even with Avenging Wrath, it might be difficult to recover. Dampening ramping up here, Corlick trying to charge for a hammer. Zac is running away from him. It's a game of cat and mouse. How long can Zac stay away? He's not able to. Now Drake in trouble. He could get bopped on his karma. He's stunned up. Big power play here from where it at. They could just finish Drake off. Where's the bop? Is Corlick going to risk it? He died in game 1 making that play, so perhaps he's cautious. He hasn't committed it just yet, but this is allowing Zac a big opportunity to recover. Going for the Divine Favor heal, rolling out in range. Drake now going after Corlick, double leg sweep. Is he going to pull the Touch of Death trigger here? They get the Gladiator safeguard without it. They get a follow-up stun. The only option is to Divine Shield. He's stunned up and very low health, barely stabilizing. Divine Shield has been forced. And now that is a gigantic lead for FPK Teal.
That is a gigantic lead, as you said, but then again, Drake did have to get bops on that, and they do have Vendetta coming up very, very soon. Now Vendetta's going to sit full, but here is a Touch of Death onto Corlick. He's been blinded. Drake, will he be able to get the sap onto Drake out of this? If he can, this should alleviate some pressure, and there is the full sap onto him. Looks like they're swapping onto Zac right now. Not trying to commit the kidney, though, as they do want to hit Drake off that. You get the Paladin wall from Zac, and now swap onto Drake. Choosing not to commit the Vendetta just yet, as Corlick's not in a position to get their Repentance, but they really do have a win condition here.
All right, Hammer of Justice, Corlick in a lot of trouble. Will he be able to survive this? Nick can't really assist right now, waiting for Kidney Shot. Does Drake have a way to break it and just finish the match? He may just so have it. Zac is in line of sight. Zac also running Concentrated Flame. That's a lot of extra damage from the healer's Essence choice here. Drake stunned up. This is buying Corlick time to get a stun. Zac's running away. Once again, playing Paladin tag on the box. Corlick manages to get to Zac, but now they stack up. Big mistake. Double leg sweep. Drake looking to say lights out to Corlick. He's got one more bop left in the tank. He's trying to get away without having to use it, but it's risky this deep into dampening. He bobs, but he's too low. He may just die through it, and he will. FPK Teal overwhelming where it at in game 2. I'm jumping into Dalaran Sewers. Let's see what's been going on within the first couple seconds of the match. Drake and Zac are both stunned, as you would expect against a rogue, but not nearly the same amount of pressure from the initial point in this game as we saw in game 1 or 2, and that's not good for where it at.
No, it is not good indeed. Nick right now trying to get a re-stealth. He just kind of runs around in a circle throwing these little daggers. I think he's trying to dodge the leg sweep actually, as he's identified that getting these double stuns is very, very dangerous for their team. He chooses to step Kidney Drake on his Fist of Fury. Very good play there, denying that offensive capabilities and not allowing him to dodge there. Drake desperately running after Corlick, puts down the Ring of Peace, but can connect. Still holding on to his leg sweep for that double, though, as he really knows it's just a game of cat and mouse, really. Nick doesn't want to get double stunned, Drake doesn't want to stun without a double, so we'll see how that ends out.
Nick is playing ranged assassination rogue. He's just like throwing knives and concentrated flames, maybe weaving in, getting a bleed, and then trying to stay out of range and only trying to stop Drake's Fists of Furies. So this is a very dampening style of assassination rogue, and I'm not sure if it's working. Corlick is just taking a beating right now. They deny the sap with paralysis. Zac escapes that crowd control chain unscathed. Drake is still a bit overextended, trying to roll onto Corlick, but takes a massive concentrated flame to the face. Zac trying to stabilize. Nick right next to him could land a kick, so he needs to be careful. Shadow Step committed. Zac can easily free cast. Corlick's out of range of hammer, so Zac should be recovering as long as Drake doesn't overextend too much. There's a double leg sweep. Drake finally finding it. Zac moves in for follow-up. Goes for it, but gets stunned instead, has to break out of it. Corlick in a bit of trouble, bopping instead of Divine Shielding, but removing the Touch of Death. So I think it is more than a fair trade there. That Touch of Death is going to be the main point of burst from a Windwalker. Corlick can make that exchange and freely escape its dangerous power. Drake knocking Corlick back into his line of sight with Ring of Peace. Now, this map is backfiring a bit because Ring of Peace is great for little choke points like these staircases and the boxes. So Corlick's escape plan was now ruined due to that utility. And I'm not sure that this is the best map for them. Drake rolling over and interrupting Corlick. Do remember that where it at are on match point, and they're very far behind at this point.
They are indeed. They haven't really got any offensive pressure. They haven't even pressed that Vendetta yet, but here they go. Is this the one to force the CDs? Cheap shot onto Zac, into Repentance, full kidney onto Drake. We're getting that karma. It's been bopped. Corlick has a bop. Vendetta, they might finish him off. The sack goes out, but he's not playing ultimate sack, so he just dies straight through that.
crowd control and assassination tactics working out quite well for the rogue. Drake sapped up, Zach stunned. Where's the start of this going to begin? Repentance isn't secured. That is going to be devastating for where it at. Not able to find these crowd controls, unfortunately. Drake rolling over to Corlick, try to train him down. That hook point, small map, trying to stack up Nick and really apply pressure to the healer. Maybe cleave down 2 targets as well. Corlick's going to have a lot of pressure on his back here. If he loses any game, he's going down to the lower bracket to fight the Gosu Crew, which is obviously of equal caliber, if not even more, on Windwalker in terms of pressure. So they would like to avoid them if they can and just get into the grand finals right away.
Nick once again going for the throwing dagger man play, trying to avoid the double stun. Here he goes, pulls the trigger, pops the blind onto Zach, gets the full kidney onto Drake, who did pre-fortifying brew it though, so not taking too much damage. Nick not choosing to pop his vendetta into that, identifying the wall and thinking he doesn't have what it takes to go through it. But even though he does use the vanish, gets the grot onto Zach, who then pops Avenging Light and uses his divine favor. Drake seems to have recovered right now and is going onto Corlick with as much as he can. He has that double leg sweep available, does have that touch of death, and he's going to see what he can do with it.
All right, let's see. Drake stunned up. Big power opportunity here for Nick and Corlick, trying to find a repentance, but Zach line of sighting it at the fence and now moving in with Drake, likely looking for Hammer of Justice. Nick is trying to max range leg sweep, but walks into it. Double leg sweep. This is devastating. Zach moves in. This could be a divine shield if Corlick isn't careful. Actually switching to Nick, trying to catch him off guard and really keep Corlick on his toes. Corlick barely recovering with Avenging Wrath up, still struggling to heal through the pressure that Drake has amounted. Nick breaks out of grapple weapon to try and go for the kill. Do they go all out here and bop off the karma? They may not even find the karma. Drake is kiting excellently. Ring of Peacing the Shadow Step, rolling back to Zach as he comes out of crowd control. But now they're stacked up. Kick is a threat for Zach. They trade karma. Where's the bop? Do they go for the bop? Corlick trying to overextend Drake maybe perhaps before going for it. Corlick is not going to commit it, not falling for the trap that he did in game 1 where he was killed with Touch of Death on Forbearance. So Corlick is playing it patiently, not wanting to risk that attempt, but maybe they can't win if they don't take any risks. It's not so certain here. This matchup is so close.
Yeah, I think that was a good call from Corlick because I don't think Nick had any more maneuverability to actually connect back onto Drake. And knowing that he had that Touch of Death, he could easily open himself up there for an instant death. Here comes Drake rolling back in, immediately punished by Drake. Yes, but it is the pre-grapple onto Nick on the kidney. That was an amazing play from Drake, making that kidney completely useless. Nick just throwing, daggering everyone that he can right now. Maybe looking for a potential re-stealth here, but chooses just to go in, and he gets double a leg sweep by Drake. Drake pops his Storm, Earth, and Fire. Here comes the restun on by Corlick. Drake is not choosing to Touch of Death here. Here comes the blind onto Zach and the full kidney onto Drake. The sap doesn't quite land, but they do get a repentance. There is the vanish committed by Nick there, though. Slight overlap. This means there's no follow-up sap onto Zach, but there is the Hodge.
Do you think you switch to Nick now that he's used vanish? He can't vanish Touch of Death?
You could do, yeah. He doesn't have Trinket either. He does have Evasion, though, but I mean, he can easily get one shot in that go.
All right.
But they do have bops and they do have sack.
A bit of a pause while the teams figure out which target they want to go after. Drake is stunned. Corlick tries to snipe a Repentance. Zach dodges it by line of sighting. Corlick lobbing out Concentrated Flames, really trying to keep Drake on the back foot so he can't chase him down. Offense is defense in this matchup. Nick is getting Concentrated Flame. I do anticipate that Drake wants to make a swap. Nick pre-feints, Shadow stepping out of the Fists of Fury, potentially trying to interrupt Zach there at the same time, but not able to. Corlick, the target still for Drake. Nick needs to dodge this leg sweep. He gets grapple weaponed. He's playing on the outskirts of Drake's leg sweep range. But Drake is just patiently holding. Tries to Ring of Peace him into a double. Doesn't find it. Nick dodges it. Corlick has to break the stun regardless. Nick is crowd controlled. Corlick is falling behind, dampening almost a 50% healing reduction. Avenging Wrath may not even be enough to heal through this assault. Zach just in the backline, lobbing out damage. Smoke bomb, power play opportunity. They go all out onto Drake to try and stay on the upper side of the bracket. Drake survives the smoke bomb, but is falling behind. Evasion still available for Nick. He can trade that at any moment to dodge all of Drake's attacks. Repentance gets sniped onto Zach, but he actually purposely got Repentanced. It was sacrificed to try and go aggressive while Repentance is on cooldown. Will this play work out for them? Drake rolls over, interrupts Corlick. Now it's stunned up by Nick. Beautiful interception. They bop Drake out of the stun. This was not a vendetta. Both teams have a big opening here. Touch of Death onto Nick. No vanish for 13. They bop it off immediately. Now one bop out of the way for Drake. He's in a Hammer of Justice. If they can get a lot of pressure here, he may have to use Divine Shield. not finding it, unfortunately. The Fist of Fury not doing enough damage. Finally, Burst follows through. Corlick clutches out a big heal. Zach line of sighting Repentances perfectly so far. Mana is even, and this game is down to the wire.
Oh, it is for sure. Nick does have his Vendetta, and it looks like he might want to use it here. He gets the full blind off the Zac, but he is incapped on here. Can he get the Vanish Sap off? He manages to just about land it with his Trinket used, though. The Garrote onto Drake. He's looking for the kidney, but he gets leg sweep before he can connect it. Pressure now reversed onto Nick. Nick gets Fist of Fury, but he trades out the faint Divine Favor coming in from Corlick, but it's not doing too much in this 55% dampening. Here's the kidney onto Drake now, choosing not to Vendetta, but there's a step kick onto Zac. The Karmic does go out. Bop is available, but not choosing to use it as Nick is falling down to this Karma, actually. Cloak is out, Evasion is out. Will he just drop to this Karma?
Do note that this is match point. If Nick dies, they go down to the lower bracket to face the Gosu Crew. Both teams basically tapped on mana. Cooldowns are running thin on both sides. Bop onto Drake. What is Nick going to do? He can't attack him. He's trying to just dodge attacks and avoid the fight. Able to dispel one Maledict. Is there a second Maledict? It doesn't look like it. Concentrated Flames coming in from Zach. Corlick is now almost completely tapped. He's in crowd control. Nick's on the run, but Maledict is stacking, absorbing all that Crimson Vial. Corlick barely dispels it in time, but will it be enough? Drake is now stunned in reverse. Nick pops Vendetta to go for the kill, going straight for the throat. Can Nick tie this up and take it to a game number 5? Drake is on the run. He's on the ropes. Zach is trying to cast heals, but he's afraid of getting step kicked. Corlick moves in potentially for Repentance. He stuns Zach. Zach breaks out. Nick is now on the back foot. Drake has defense, but now Nick is bobbed. Drake has to retreat away. Transcendency not a line of sight. Nick is trying to get uptime while he's immune to physical damage, but they're just running away from him. He can't connect. Corlick is totally Nick is disarmed on his kidney shot. This is the only reason Drake is even alive right now, was that pre-grapple weapon, nailing not one this game, but 2, allowing his team a bit more time to stay in it. But Corlick is recovered. Even though he has 0 mana, he's recovered. Drake is not. He pops Touch of Death. He goes for the kill. He needs to get a kill with this Touch of Death. Nick feints it. Does he have a Shadow Meld maybe to immune it? No, it's going to connect. Drake rolls out. Zach moves in. Lands. Zach is going to carry the team. Big concentrated flame to close it out here on match point. Zach and Drake, FPK Teal, advancing 3-1 to the grand finals on Championship Sunday. Let's jump in here. Yep. Rogue Paladin, Druid Monk. The fight has not just started yet. Nick in stealth, but Gorecki is as well, which means they can't see each other. Chun-Li gets sapped. Gorecki stuns Corlick by himself on a solo mission. Immediately goes in bear form, realizing, hey, I'm on sap. Nick might open on me. Gorecki stunned from stealth. Concentrated flame usage here right from the very start. Vendetta was pulled within the first global of the game from Nick. Really trying to get Gorecki on the back foot. Let's see if he can keep the pressure up.
Yeah, Nick identifying that Gorecki is playing that cat affinity, choosing to just go ham onto him instantly, even though he wasn't that bear form. But it looks like the pressure is actually going onto Nick, having to trade out his cloak already, not even using too many cooldowns from the side of Chun-Li and Gorecki. Here's the blind onto Gorecki, instantly trinkets. I think this might be a bait. There's a step kick onto Gorecki's clone. He can't get away, but actually, he does get away. Nick tries to connect back onto him. He's got the freedom on him. Can he get the re-stealth? Gorecki running back into Nick as he tries to get a re, but he just gets kidneyed in travel form. This could be huge for the side of where it at.
What is this damage from Chun-Li right now? Both Nick and Corlick are at 50% health, even though Avenging Wrath is active. Finally, Corlick gets some big heals out here. Now they need to get damage onto Gorecki, try and get Iron Bark with this push. Nick now Cyclone. He's not going to be finding Iron Bark while he's Cycloned, unfortunately. They need to make sure he doesn't re-stealth out of Cyclone. They don't stop him. Nick gets a free re-stealth. This does mean he gets Subterfuge. He can get Garrote, which amplifies the damage and silences the target. Very important as the Assassination Rogue. It could give him a little bit of an edge here. Gorecki stunning up Nick, cloning Corlick. Now this could be devastating for Nick. Gorecki playing that Druid does mean that he gets some extra crowd control that we didn't see from Zach, which could be game-breaking. Nick is falling behind. He stuns Chun-Li, goes for a smoke bomb play. Is Gorecki going to try and roll out into the bomb? No. Chun-Li instead breaks out and escapes. Stun onto Nick from Gorecki, dotting him up, trying to rot him down, maybe go for a double kill onto both Corlick and Nick. Nick has a choice. Does he assist Corlick or does he keep chasing Gorecki? It's a pretty tough choice. Gorecki now charging across the map, avoiding Nick, looking for clone, gets Shadow Step kidneyed on it. He's going to respect the stun and bark skin, but now he will not have a Gladius Medallion and he will not have a bark skin for a stun Vendetta. If he is caught out of form on the next kidney shot, he could lose the game, but perhaps they just win before that point. Gorecki running Corlick down at the moment.
Chun-Li is just an absolute butcher. Corlick only 35% into dampening, and he is just getting a beat on so hard. There's the bubble, and the Touch of Death is still available for Chun-Li. Nick now under pressure. The bash goes onto him. Get the clone onto Korlik.
They got him.
Gets the defensive kidney onto Gorecki though, out of form. Chooses not to pop Vendetta on this though.
Why?
Potentially a mistake. He does not have Iron Bark, he does not have Trinket, and he gets out of the stun. Garrot here, there's no follow-up Hodge there, and it looks like they could have maybe killed Gorecki if he popped that Vendetta.
Gladiator's Maledict is still stacking on Gorecki, but Korlik is just dead. They have to blind Chun-Li. But now Gorecki is just attacking Korlik. Gorecki might just kill him even through Avenging Wrath. Gorecki is going to just run away, realizing Korlik broke out of his stun. Now he could be in trouble. He may be overextended. He trinkets. He's on the run. Both these teams still in trouble. It's still too close to call. I was starting to think that Gorecki had a bit of a lead, but now without Gladiator's Medallion to escape a kidney shot, he could go down to the next stun if he's not careful. Currently running away from Nick. Chun-Li rolls back to assist. Gorecki and Chun-Li tag team on Nick. Nick breaks out of the stun, but Nick is now Ring of Peace off the pillar. Chun-Li is going to hold him at bay. Now rolling after Korlik, realizing that the healers are the main point of targets for both sides. Is going to be the main target in terms of damage. Nick has a very hard time staying next to Gorecki, unfortunately for him. Korlik is also avoiding Chun-Li excellently this deep into dampening. Much more important to avoid damage than to try and heal through it, because your healing is reduced so significantly. Gorecki gets stunned out of form. Big power play. Is Korlik going to go for the concentrated flame through Barkskin or just hold on to its stack? Nick suddenly all of a sudden getting bursted. Huge reversal from Chun-Li. Gorecki goes for potentially the game-winning Cyclone. Can he get it? Not finding it. Bop onto Korlik. Doesn't look like they have a way to get it off, unfortunately. They're just stacking Maledicts on Nick during the bop to try and absorb healing and prevent a recovery. It is keeping Korlik behind. 18 seconds till his Avenging Wrath. Can Korlik survive for another 15 seconds, Gelu?
He's gonna have to, because otherwise that will be game, set, and match. But Nick now under pressure, gets that rake stun by Gorecki before Nick can connect that kidney shot. Nick now running back to Chun-Li, full kidney onto Chun-Li. The Thorns get pulsed by Gorecki though. He can't hit into that, or he will surely crumble. The Crimson Vial goes out from Nick, desperately trying to heal himself up. But Korlik now put into the ink cap. Gorecki just doesn't want to clone. He's just spamming out wraths onto Nick, dealing so much damage. Gorecki goes into the stealth here, looks for a break onto Korlik. Can he get the follow-up clone? Nick into the evasion. Chun-Li desperately trying to beat him up through this evasion. Can he hit his back? Doesn't seem like he can quite get there.
Touch of Death is available. Chun-Li just wins the game at any point. He can just press the button and the game is over. He gets blinded, and this is before Touch of Death 2. The last bop is now out. No mana remains for Korlik. This is devastating. Chun-Li is crowd controlled, so at least Korlik can kind of sit here and pretend like he can recover, but I don't think he's going to recover. They have to get a kill if they want to win, but Gorecki's got all of his defenses available. Touch of Death available. Chun-Li just pulled the trigger on it. He could just end this game at any moment. He goes for it, but Nick stuns him and denies some of its damage, but it's still going to explode. It's going to be a gigantic hit off the back of this bash. Nick takes the brunt of it. Not nearly as gigantic as I was expecting. Korlik paralysis, unable to heal into a Cyclone. Not able to find it, ranges it, goes for a big Holy Light. Korlik is somehow, some way powering through this despite having no mana, basically no cooldowns either. Chun-Li might just get a double kill. Ring of Peace and Korlik out and away from Nick. He can't support. Gorecki jumps in for potentially lethal blow here, stunning Korlik and just going to town. Then jumping out to assist Chun-Li as he is stunned up. Chun-Li could just go for Karma and really push through with this Vendetta, redirect the damage back to Korlik. Fist of Fury onto Nick. Smoke Bomb denies Maledict's Dispel for a moment. Diffuse Magic instead to remove it. Both Korlik and Nick in a lot of trouble. Nick shadow steps over for a kick, trying to do whatever he can in potentially the final moments of these games. Korlik, Avenging Wrath just came up. He gets one big heal, despite being totally tapped on mana. This might be their win condition. They activate Thorns to try and redirect damage and get them off Chun, but they're not getting him off the back. There's the Karma. They don't have a way to remove it. Now Nick is kind of just stuck here like, I can't attack. And he might just die. He can't escape and he can't attack. This is devastating, but both sides in trouble.
Will Nick die through this sack? It is only a small sack. Gorecki into the Hodge, Nick into the stun. The sack is over, and he gets raked, and he goes down. This game was, didn't go as I expected.
If you're a druid at home watching and struggling with any of these particular setups, Assassination Rogue in particular, you definitely want to be watching Gorecki and his usage of just avoiding fights rather than trying to tank them outright with that Guardian affinity.
So here we go. Into game 2. Chun-Li put into the sap right now as Nick is looking for Gorecki. Can't seem to find him though as he opens up with the cheap shot. Looks like Gorecki might want to stun him up. Nick getting into that rake stun. Chun-Li trying to get some damage onto Nick as soon as possible. It looks like Nick's opener was just completely collapsed by Gorecki's rake stun there.
Yeah, so devastating start there. Unfortunately, we see the Earth, Wind, and Fire pop. Chun-Li is trying to lead the charge, going after Nick. 2 members crowd controlled. Glidier's medallion trades there, but still struggling to recover. They're trying to reverse it onto Gorecki and just overwhelm him. Both teams pull the trigger very early to create pressure. They're just trying to outright rush Gorecki down. And so far, it's looking like it may work, even with Iron Bark. He's not recovering. They stun Nick. They're desperate. Does he bop this? He bops it. They're all or nothing to kill Gorecki, and it might just work out.
Yeah, he bopped it, but fortunately for him, Gorecki did fake the kick on that, but Nick is getting so low now. I think his Battle Master trinket must have dropped there, and he gets cloned on that immediately. Korlik now into the clone. He might have to bubble out and sack Nick here, but Nick goes for the Shadow Step defensively. Gets put into the rake stun by Gorecki, though. Excellent Shadow Meld from him, as Nick is now put into the sack. Nick looking to try and reconnect onto Gorecki. Getting the kidney on the Chun-Li, though, doesn't have that Shadow Step, sees that and just does some damage on the Chun-Li instead. Gorecki instantly triggers out a blind. Once again, could have been a bait, though, as he is the main target for Nick.
Right now, this is looking so difficult for Korlik. He's cycloned. He can't heal. Nick is stunned. He can't escape. Gorecki moves in for Bash, potentially. Looked like he wanted to re-stealth. He finds the re-stealth, but Bop was already secured. Gorecki is not going to risk going for a Cyclone. Instead, repositioning, realizing that it's all or nothing for where it's at. Gorecki just needs to stall and stay alive. Korlik has basically burned his entire candlestick in terms of life in this match. Chun-Li is likely to run him over in the near future. Touch of Death available. Nick needs to save him, but if he's crowd controlled, he won't be able to. Perhaps they go on to Nick out of this. No, Cyclone instead. Korlik on the run, trying to avoid Chun-Li desperately. Gorecki has recovered. Jumping in, Korlik snipes him with a judgment, denies the restyle. Nick intercepts, gets Ring of Peace away. The Ring of Peace protecting Gorecki, despite the Gladiator's Maledict activation. I think Gorecki should be able to survive this. Touch of Death just waiting. Chun-Li he can pop that at any moment and deal devastating amounts of damage. There's really nothing to stand in its way onto Korlik, perhaps just waiting for the Avenging Wrath and then going to be going for it. Fist of Fury flying onto Korlik. Divine Favor now even out of the way. Chun-Li gets stunned. Chun-Li may have waited too long. He's caught in a smoke bomb. Is he going to choose to break out and escape? Gorecki pre-Iron Barks it, but pre-Iron Bark at 39% dampening isn't even that effective.
It is not for sure. It looks like Chun-Li really does have that window of opportunity to just kill Korlik whenever he wants. But it looks like he's committing onto Nick a little bit now. Not choosing to use that Touch of Death yet, but does get some huge damage onto him. Rolls over and kicks Korlik as Nick is so low. But Nick good offensive now. He gets the full Vendetta Kidney onto Chun-Li. Chun-Li choosing to sit it. He trades out the trinket last second and karmas Gorecki now into the full Hodge. He's swapping onto Gorecki, wasting no time to get some offensive pressure. Gorecki trading out the Bark Skin.
Oh, both of these teams really putting on a show here for the lower bracket finals. But Nick gets Ring of Peace off the side, out of line of sight. He evasions, but he gets Cyclone. No, Nick interrupts the Cyclone. Gets back into line of sight, but now Korlik gets interrupted by Chun rolling over. Both Nick and Chun playing out of their minds at this point. Chun gets stunned up, but he pre-fortifying Bruise, anticipating this attack. And now he may commit Touch of Death with his added damage from that extra health. Still holding on to it for now. A bit surprising. I feel like Chun-Li is maybe being overly patient with this cooldown. Gorecki sets up for a drink while Chun-Li holds Nick back with a paralysis. Beautifully timed. Now into a root. I think Gorecki got a lot of mana off that. Now jumping into the fight and stunning Nick. That's going to at least secure some late game potential if Chun-Li can't close it out with the next Touch of Death.
Chun-Li really needs to commit soon, because the longer this game goes on, the more in favor of Nick it goes. Here's the full kidney on the Chun-Li, traded out with the Iron Bark of Gorecki. Gorecki now without his Bark Skin, as Nick does kite towards him, trying to stop him from getting that re-stealth, as Gorecki's Rake Stuns do allow them to get a lot of pressure. And here it is. Here's the Rake Stun to Korlik. The full clone onto him, the full leg sweep onto Nick. Gets the Ring of Peace down. He's completely out of line of sight of Korlik, and he just goes down.
Doesn't even
that
need
Touch of Death was not even needed.
He doesn't even need Touch of Death.
We'll see. I mean, what's he gonna do? I haven't really seen a sub-rogue in a very long time on Tournament Realms. It's interesting to see how it plays out. I know on live you can stack a humongous amount of mastery and try and one-shot someone, but on Tiara, I don't know how high you can get.
Looks like Shadowy Duel selected. So the Subtlety Rogue's main advantage is just keeping the healer out of the fight with stuns, blind, sap, and then Shadowy Duel, which is... It turns it into like a one-on-one between whoever the rogue Shadowy duels. No one else can interact with the players. But so far, this is not a good way to start. Double leg sweep from Chun-Li straight from stealth. Fist of Fury cleaving down 2 targets. He's just 1v2ing Korlik and Nick in midfield. Gorecki's chilling.
He is chilling indeed. Looks like Nick can't really get too much damage out on that opener. Once again, getting completely denied. It looks like he's currently trying to connect on the Chun-Li. There's a Shadow Step into the Kidney. The full Hodge onto Gorecki. Gorecki choosing to pre-thorns that. No one using any CDs on this, though. Gorecki trying to hold onto that Iron Bark. He knows that Nick can't really do too much damage outside of the stuns. This was the Shadowy Duel from Nick as well. And, I mean, Chun-Li really not under that much pressure.
Stunned up on the remainder of that Shadowy Blades. They're going to lose a lot of damage. Nick is trying to get something going here, but this is Touch of Death. Chun-Li is not playing conservative this time around, just pressing it to maximize damage output. Ring of Peace preventing Nick's connection. Chun-Li rolling forward, Fist of Fury full uptime. That's going to be difficult for Corlick to recover. He trades his wall, but he wasn't even stunned. He's trying to fake cast the interrupt. He does manage to, but now he's stunned. Nick tries to reverse it. Smoke bomb laid down, but Gorecki anticipates the smoke bomb. Iron Barks Chun-Li before its line of sighting effect, totally negating that assault from Nick. And so far, how are we feeling about the Subtlety Rogue?
I think it's awful. I can't see a win condition for him. It's, I mean, he did all his cooldowns on one go. Shadowy Blades, he Shadowy Dueled, and Chun-Li didn't even have to... Well, he didn't even drop below about 50%, so... Maybe in dampening they can make something happen, but until then, he's pretty much just tickling Chun-Li, and this allows Gorecki to play the full game as well.
Okay, Chun-Li stunned up. Another good opportunity. Concentrated Flame from Corlick. But Gorecki's in the back line, easily healing it. Now activated Thorns, so Nick is going to feint and stop attacking into Thorns, reduce the damage of Fist of Fury. That was a good reaction. Gorecki's in stealth. What's he going to do here? Cheeky little stun onto Nick, and then immediately run away because he doesn't want to get Hammer of Justice. So Gorecki's basically just going to be poking the bear. Running in, stunning somebody, running away, running in, stunning somebody, running away, being really annoying. And on match point, it's going to develop a lot of pressure. And eventually that annoyance will become lethal, with dampening ramping up close to 40% now.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, here we go. Here's the double stun onto Nick and Corlick. Corlick trading out his Paladin Wall. Chun-Li not using his Touch of Death just yet, as it is on cooldown for another 10 seconds. But as that time goes on, Corlick could definitely go down. Nick not playing the Night Elf anymore. He doesn't have that meld option for that Touch of Death, only having that Vanish and the Bop available. Nick trades out his Evasion on this go, which forces Chun-Li to swap back onto Corlick. Corlick using the wings to heal himself up, and Nick's just creating absolutely zero pressure in this game. No one's really dropped below the 50% mark in a very, very long time, and I just don't think this sub choice is paying off.
Gorecki's running Relentless. Is there a world where, I don't know how high dampening needs to be, but they go on Gorecki and kill him through Barkskin because he can't escape a stun? Does that world exist?
I mean, in a perfect world, perhaps if Corlick has an absolute fatty judgment for him, but other than that, I don't.
That concentrated flame up to 3 on both players. You just
is Nick playing concentrated flame, or is he opting to play that blood of the enemy?
I can't check. I haven't seen him. I'll keep a close eye to see Concentrated Flame, but I don't believe I've seen Concentrated Flame yet from Nick. But Corlick can at least save it up. Gorecki is just literally sitting in stealth. He's literally chilling in Game 3 so far. Nick is paralysis. He can't stop any of the assaults here from Chun-Li. Touch of Death about to go off. Massive connect onto Corlick. Nick trying to get some damage here. Pops Shadow Blades. Thorns. He has to attack into Thorns. He's going to cloak the Thorns. Go for the all-in. Big damage. Maybe they can pull Karma and bop it? Where's the bop? Do they go for it? They're not bopping it. Nick is in trouble now, taking all that redirected damage. Gorecki is stunned, but Nick is still struggling to recover. I'm very surprised to not see a bop there. Touch of Death wasn't available. It seemed like if there was a moment, that was it. Now it's gone.
That was everything from Nick. That was the blood of the enemy, that was the Shadow Blades, and that was his dance and his vanish, and they only forced Karma. On the other hand, Nick is teetering around 50%, Corlick a little bit under 50%. Corlick now using his wings, but Chun-Li into the full kidney. Here comes the smoke bomb. Beautiful sap onto Gorecki there. Can they get any pressure on the Chun-Li? He's only about 80% health. He's going down to about 70 now, but they don't seem to have enough pressure to do it. Although, on the other hand, Corlick into the bash. Human Racial's out into the half leg sweep. Oh, there's a bubble from him, and it is. The bubble is forced.
Oh, the most precious cooldown gone at 52% dampening. Mana basically max for Gorecki. Corlick is almost tapped. Nick is on the ropes here. Divine Favor, not too big of a heal. Gorecki's in stealth. He could stun someone at any moment. Who is Gorecki going to finish off here? Just playing with his food at this point. Jumping in. Corlick's interrupted. Gorecki's going to min-max, wait for the maximum uptime before stunning. Nick stuns Chun-Li, but his Paladin Cyclone. This could be it for Nick. He gets stunned up by Gorecki. Triggers the evasions, but even evasion may not be enough here on these final moments. wraths are flying in from the side from Gorecki to take him down. Ring of Peace. Corlick is pinned against the wall. Chun-Li looking to score this kill. Gets blinded. Bop overlapped with Blind. Maybe a bit of a panic moment here, but you're both at 20%. You've really not got anything done all game. I'm not surprised to see some panic. Nyx gets Ursul's Vortex through the wall into line of sight of Gorecki for him to just outright kill him. That was a sick Vortex. I didn't know you could do that on the fence. Gorecki just pulls him into his own clutches, and Gorecki just gonna go.
We are indeed, and we are straight into the fight. Chun-Li and Drake battling it out in the middle of the map. Looks like Chun-Li opting to go on the Paladin of Zac here, whereas Gorecki sitting tight in the back, getting those restelfs. And here it is what I was talking about, the full rake onto Zac as Gorecki sits in the back. Drake desperately trying to connect on him, gets the incap on him, gets the touch of death onto Gorecki, but he does get incapped himself on the stun, and he can't quite get it. But here it is, here's the leg sweep. Followed into the bark skin of Gorecki. There's the re-hodge onto Gorecki, but at the same time, Zac is dropping so low due to the human racial out here. The wings is popped, doesn't quite have divine favor yet. If Chun-Li misses his kick, unfortunately, so I think Zac should be able to recover.
Chun-Li at 10%. Is he gonna die without karma? I mean, both teams going ballistic in game one in terms of burst damage. Ring of Peace on Gorecki's heel. Big opportunity here. They do net Iron Bark off the back of it. Fist of Fury stalled for now with Ring of Peace. Chun-Li just trying to hold Drake at bay. The first time, Chun-Li will be challenged on that Windwalker Monk. Will Zac and Drake be able to overthrow effectively a dynasty between Gorecki and Chun-Li in terms of their history, as they are still newcomers in terms of the overall spectrum of arena competition? Gorecki targeted down once again. Zac as well. Gorecki jumps into the fight, trying to avoid damage at the same time, but Maledict is stacking. He Cyclones Drake and stalls. Now activating Maledict and moving in for potentially Divine Shield. They get it! Big advantage for the Gosu Crew.
Zac is running very low in cooldowns, only has 2 bops available, does not have that human racial or his bubble, and it looks like the touch of death has been pulled by Chun-Li. Can he reach Zac? He transcendence into him, he rolls over the very DR rake onto Zac. The touch of death does burst, and it hits him down to about 25%, but now Gorecki is put into the hodge, trying to peel for himself as much as he can. The Divine Favor goes onto Zac, but he only gets healed up a little bit. Gorecki with the full clone onto Drake off the beautiful incap from Chun-Li as Chun-Li rolls back onto Zac. Gorecki into the incap. Can Drake get anything done here? There's the leg sweep, but it is diminishing return from that hodge, but the bark skin is forced anyway.
Okay, Zac, what are you going to do here? No Divine Shield, Avenging Wrath available. Chun-Li leg sweeps. It's a double on the Earth, Wind, and Fire of Drake. Denial and pressure. He's going through Bop like butter. What is happening right now? Zac struggling. He's vortexed in line of sight, trying to wrap around the corner, but pulled back into Gorecki's clutches for a Cyclone. These vortexes are devastating. Zac needs a tornado warning after that.
Tornado Zac. Well, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure that's very scary, but maybe it already exists. Who knows? I'm not a geography man. Anyway, there hits a full bash onto Zac. Zac does not have too many cooldowns left. He's on forbearance for a few seconds, but he should be okay with this. But the go is onto Gorecki. He has no skin available. The full hodge onto him, but the Drake is incapped. He can't connect too much. Here comes the fist into Gorecki now, but Gorecki wild charges away. Wild charging to Zac. Excellent use of his maneuverability as he gets the full clone onto Drake and manages to peel himself expertly.
Oh, Gorecki's trying to run down Zac, but avoiding a double stun as well. This is going to be difficult to pull off. Gorecki restelts, jumps right onto Zac. Drake rolls over. He really wants the double. Is Drake going to find it? He gets Ring of Peace away from Gorecki. Double now landed by Chun-Li. Zac is falling so far behind. Mana, though, is surprisingly even. This could be anyone's fight. Who is going to take it? Fist of Fury flying. There's no denial. Zac just has to power through it. Can he make it out of this alive? Fortunately, no Spear Hand strike available, but Touch of Death is. How is he going to handle this Touch of Death? Zac, what are you going to do? He's running away, but Chun-Li's just all over him. Touch of Death about to explode. He bops it at the last second, almost baiting Chun-Li into thinking maybe he could get a kill there, but denying it once again, although a significant mana deficit now at this point. And, I mean, FPK Teal, they need to get something going now.
Drake tries to pull the trigger on Gorecki. He gets the bark skin and the trinket with his touch of death from that Hodge of Zac. But Zac is so very low. He is put into the full bash. He human racials out. He doesn't have wings. He cuts it, breaks again. He does have a divine favor, though. Chooses to use it. Goes back up to about 30%. But if Chun-Li can connect, he will surely go down. Chun-Li getting peeled very well by Drake, though. Maneuvering him very, very hard as he gets immobilized by these hamstrings. Chun-Li just chooses to hit Drake instead, forcing out that Karma, which gets instantly cloned. Now Chun-Li goes back onto Zac.
Oh, look at this position Zac's in. He's got Avenging Wrath. When's he going to choose to pop it? I feel like he needs to pop it now. No, they stack up for a double stun. This could be it. Gorecki's just waiting in the wings. Oh, just pouncing immediately onto Zac. Drake blocks them with Ring of Peace. Gorecki's not willing to wrap in. He's waiting. They know Avenging Wrath is up. It might not be worth it. Actually knocking them out into the open for Gorecki to land a Cyclone. Beautiful teamwork between Chun-Li and Gorecki. The Cyclones going for another one. Not able to find it, unfortunately. Now looking for a re-stealth into a stun off the back of the paralysis. Both Gorecki and Chun-Li try to run Zac down here. Dampening at critical mass. No mana in the tank whatsoever. Chun-Li pre-karmas to stay on target and finish the job. And Zac has to do his best to just deal with it. And I don't know if he can. Stunned up by Gorecki. 2 targets critically low on health. Zac with a couple seconds to get one more big heal, but he's moving over for the hammer. He's trying to just win the game despite being so far behind. Diffuse magic denying some damage. Chun-Li rolling over to close it out. Zac doesn't get any heals off that divine favor. Is Chun ultimately going to fall though? Has he overstayed his welcome? It doesn't look like it. Zac is going to get crunched. Gorecki interrupted on his cycle, but it will not matter.
Game has begun indeed. It is once again Chun-Li dashing after Zac. Drake trying to peel him as much as he can. Can't really connect to Gorecki as he's sitting behind a wall right now. But here he goes. He rolls in caps Gorecki. He gets the leg sweep. The Gorecki just instantly trinkets out. Doesn't choose to bark skin that touch of death. Just tanks it to the face, gets the meld, and tries to go offensive onto Zac.
All right, Gorecki is just getting trained down. Let's see how he navigates Dalaran Sewers. So far, so good. Only trading Glider's Medallion. No significant defensive overlaps on his part. Looking for re-stealths. Very important that he is aware of that. Gorecki needs to play both defense and offense if he wants to close this out quickly. Intervening there to get some free heals before jumping into stealth. Absolute min-maxed. Zac stunned up. Drake stunned up. Beautiful double stun here by the Gosu Crew on this assault. That will pull Zac's Avenging Wrath. Now with Divine Favor, likely to get big heals. Charging forward. Trying to get that added damage bonus from the Avenging Wrath as well. Catching Gorecki out of form. Big power play opportunity. Gorecki's going to respect it in Barkskin, but it may not be enough. Gladiator's Maledict is stacked up. He dispels it. He's on the run. They paralysis the re-Maledict into a Cyclone, but no, it breaks early. He ports on top of him and kicks the clone, knocking Gorecki downstairs. Ironbark about to fade. They need to stay on his heels. They need to take down Gorecki. It's all or nothing. They bounce him back into their clutches. Drake rolls in, but there's no interrupt. He goes, paralysis at the last second. Is Drake going to be able to deny this? Gets the leg sweep out of form. No Barkskin. Do they have enough damage? There's no cooldowns to amplify, but they've got stuns. They've got a lot of stuns. Maledict dispelled. Flames fly in. Can Gorecki hold on this little bit longer? Chun's doing everything he can, but Blessing of Freedom is allowing Drake a lot of uptime. Drake line of sights the clone on the top, not falling for the bait, then rolling in when he has an interrupt, but now Zac is falling behind.
Yeah, Zac put into the kick there. Could have gone down without bubble, but just about gets that bubble off and uses the Divine Favor to heal himself back up. But I really like how they're going a lot more offensive onto Gorecki this game. They're playing a lot more all in, but of course that leaves them with the side of Zac taking a lot more damage. And speaking of Zac taking a lot more damage, he's been leg swept into a touch of death. He's on forbearance. He can't get that touch of death off, and it just connects and does a huge amount of damage onto him. That's Zac's bubble gone, that's Zac's trinket gone, and he will surely fall very soon.
The all-in doesn't work. Gorecki's defenses are now back and available, which means he is going to be running all over this team. What can they do here in the grand finals? Already down one match. Drake is not going to chase Gorecki, peeling back to assist Zac, but with what? It's not really helping too much. He's just taking added cleave damage, and then Zac has to heal 2 targets. Chun-Li gets stunned, overextended. Beautiful leg sweep timing there by Drake. If there was any sort of opportunity, it's going to be off the back of a play like that.
Yeah, but it looks like Chun-Li is just dropping so low there. That is Karma force, that is Trinket force, and suddenly there's just openings up and up for the side of Drake, but then again he gets put into this bash, into the rake. Will he drop without Karma? No, the Fortifying Brew comes out, the Karma connects, and Zac is healing him right back up. with those wings. Gorecki now put into the in-cap. Chun-Li is now trying to connect some damage onto Zac, trying to reverse the pressure. The leg sweep does connect onto Zac. There is a bop available if he does not have his human trinket. Chun-Li using his Storm, Earth, and Fire, getting those fists onto Zac as much as he can, but he can't seem to do enough damage to just finish him off. Chun-Li now without Karma, Drake without Karma, Zac without trinket, and Zac without bop.
I think Zac has a slight mana advantage, though. This game is looking at least better for the team of where it at in the grand finals. Can they manage to pull it off? Drake falling behind, though. Zac has to heal him around the corner. I mean, Gorecki could kill Drake with that feral affinity if he's not careful. Gorecki gets stunned, but in bear, he's going to still Barkskin and respect the cooldown trade. Zac moves in to support with some added damage. They're just trying to overwhelm Gorecki, push him over. Ring of Peace away from the box. Ring on the ring. Drake stunned up. Zac interrupted. Both players in trouble. Cyclone at low health. Gorecki connecting big heals while Drake is crowd controlled, jumping into the action, but not able to find a stun. Instead, just building up damage onto Zac. He's only got one more bop, but he's got 2 targets low on health. Who does he bop? He sacks Drake, but now he's in trouble. Who's going to fall first? This is looking like a double kill potentially for the Gosu Crew as Zac falls, and moments later, Drake taps out. They can find that by changing some of their honor talents and their Azerite traits, but even with more damage, it may not be enough to outdo the experience of the Gosu Crew. Here we go. Game 3, Hook Point.
Hook Point, once again picking that smaller map so they can try and connect onto the residue of Gorecki. Will it pay off for them this game? I think they need to go a little bit more aggressive with these Blessing of Protections so they can maybe connect some more damage on him and have completely uninterrupted goes.
All right, Chun-Li stunned up at the same time. They're switching targets at least. A little bit of an adaptation. Chun-Li has to... He bops the Karma. They're going all or nothing to kill him. Gorecki tries to respond, but it might be too little too late. This is massive damage onto Chun-Li. Fist of Fury stalling the damage for now. Gorecki trying to fake cast, but he doesn't fake Drake. He has to bash him. He held that in his back pocket. Drake trinkets it to go all out here on the Chun-Li. Chun-Li overextends, but crowd controls Drake before doing so. He ports out of line of sight of the clone. Drake avoiding Cyclone at all costs to stay on target, but only finding the Karma and Ironbark. How soon on that Hammer of Justice? Zac needs to get one soon. He lands it. Who are they going to go after? Drake Ring of Pieces Chun-Li on his Fists of Fury, keeping him away from Zac, preventing the restealth from Gorecki with a Crackling Jade. Drake interrupts another Cyclone, rolling over there quite quickly. Now attacking Chun-Li and trying to keep him away from Zac. So the target has changed completely here for the team of Dude I Don't Know at the top, or FPK Teal. Will they be able to find victory with this targeting change, or will they just stack up and take too much cleave damage? Zac gets stunned on his charger. That's devastating. He has to break the stun with his every man for himself, and now he's not going to see that for so long. If he makes that attempt again, he could easily have to Divine Shield or just lose outright.
Yeah, Gorecki looking for a Rake clone there, gets hodged on that, but now they can't use that hodge as an offensive setup, unfortunately. Chun-Li relentlessly chasing Zac all across the map. Drake trying to play the goalkeeper, trying to defend his healer as best he can. The fists getting committed onto each other, just completely negating each other's damage on that, I do believe. And Gorecki blinks in for that bash with his wild charge, gets a low clone onto him, noticing the Ring of Peace, not allowing his teammate to do any damage onto Zac. And it seems like Zac is in a pretty rough spot here. He can't seem to get away from Chun-Li as he's just sticking to him like glue.
Yeah, this is going to be the most difficult series of Zac's 2 versus 2 life. They've got good cross crowd control, a couple seconds away from Glidier's Medallion. Can they force out Karma on top of Ironbark? They need to get it. They're not finding it. Just not enough damage. Drake is Cycloned. This should allow Gorecki easy healing time to recover Chun-Li. Although Chun-Li is a bit overzealous, line of sighting some of Gorecki's heals. And now Gorecki is falling a tad bit behind, finally getting those nourishes out, bringing Chun back to full health. Chun triggers out of leg sweep and ports away from Touch of Death as it explodes, but doesn't end up doing any damage. Is Chun playing Night Elf?
Yeah, he's using that Night Elf Racial.
Just Shadow Meld the
out there and Shadow Melds it.
Okay, interesting choice from Chun-Li. Obviously, he doesn't have Blessing Protection to remove Touch of Death, but Shadow Melding the hit is clutch. Double stun here. Gorecki moves in to support, landing a stun out, and then immediately retreating away, not wanting to overextend. So long as the Gosu Crew keep playing by the books, it's looking good.
It is looking very, very good. Gorecki got a little drink there as well, so the mana is way more even than it was before. Gorecki using that drink opportunity to get in stealth, looking for the rake, trying to dodge these flying serpent kicks as well. Drake put it into the bash as he was knocked out, not able to get that rake off. Zac into the in-cap, Gorecki into the in-cap, but it is Chun-Li that's doing the brunt of the damage. Drake is so very, very low now, trying to hold onto his karma as Zac is the one under pressure. Gorecki goes in, gets immediately Hodge. Can he get the re-stealth off of this Hodge? Looks for the heal instead. Drake very, very low now, still holding onto his karma as Chun-Li uses his defuse on a Maledict go.
Drake cycloned at low health. Zac struggling, 3 seconds away from his Avenging Wrath. He's going to buy time. Avenging Wrath available. Needs to make sure he doesn't get interrupted or crowd controlled on it, as it may net a Divine Shield. Leg sweep's available. He's leg sweeps it instantly. This could be Divine Shield. They try and Ring of Peace and Fist of Fury Chun-Li away and protect Zac, but now Zac's cloned on the Avenging Wrath. He's not getting any uptime with this increase of healing. Drake gets stunned. He's falling behind. Zac's trying to dish out some damage, but karma is forced. Drake wants to go all out for a push here onto Chun. How much is he going to get done? Not too much. Now caught into an in cap. Chun-Li stunned behind the pillar. Maybe a good opportunity, but Drake got entangling rooted right before he could move into range to attack Chun. Could have got way more damage, but that root perfectly timed, and Zac is so far behind as a result of that perfect crowd control.
These clones are just deadly. The low clones into the full stuns just do not give Zac room to breathe. And even when he does get room to breathe, his heals are just not doing too much. Here is yet again another clone onto Zac. And now it is Drake who is running away. But as he runs away, he doesn't mean he cannot peel for Zac. Chun-Li just goes straight after Zac, hitting him as hard as he can. The Storm Earth and Fire is popped. The leg sweep will be coming up imminently. And will he choose to press it? It looks like he wants to get the double stun onto Drake and Zac. But Zac is put into a clone. Zac now bubbling, Drake in the clone. Drake under immediate pressure. The very DR Drake, the Blessing of Sacrifice falls onto Drake, and they are just crumbling.
This is looking like potentially another double kill for the Gosu Crew in game number 3. The pressure is so high. 13 seconds away. Can Zac make it? 10 more seconds. He gets cloned. It at least buys him a couple seconds to Avenging Wrath, but Drake is in trouble if he tries to even go near Chun or Gorecki at this moment in time. 3 more seconds. 2, and this time Zac needs to avoid crowd control at all costs when he decides to pull the trigger on Avenging Wrath. He's going to pop it. Do they have crowd control for it? No leg sweep. No paralysis. Zac retreating away, trying to bait Chun-Li into the starting area so that he can't avoid the fight and possibly go down to an aggressive bop. Zac is getting uptime with this Avenging Wrath. He's able to stabilize himself. Now looking to pick up Drake as quickly as possible, but he's getting cycloned. Gorecki has expended a lot of mana on Cyclone. That may backfire on him. Zac still has an opportunity by bopping off a Karma. Chun-Li needs to be ready for that because Touch of Death is available. They Ring of Peace Chun-Li. They've decided to try and lock him in the starting area, I suppose, but he doesn't care. He's just going to kill both of them. They want to lock Chun-Li in a corner. He's just going to come out and tear them to pieces. Now it looks like Drake may be the one that's stuck, as Chun-Li is trying to get out of the starting area. Zac has realized that's not going to work whatsoever. Stunned up with basically nothing. Bopped at 10%. Drake is whittling down. Chun ports out of the fist. Drake gets cloned. Flames fly through. Gorecki's tapped. Gorecki is tapped. Can Zac keep this going? Gorecki can't continue to heal with 0 mana. If Zac somehow keeps this going, man, it is a miracle.
That would be a miracle indeed. Looks like Gorecki is in stealth. The damage is popped by Drake. The Touch of Karma goes out. But looks like Chun-Li will just run away and meld it once again. The Shadow Meld paying dividends for Chun-Li in this matchup. But it's put into the double stun. The stun goes on to Gorecki. The stun goes on to Chun-Li. Will he go down? And he just falls. Karma was available. It would have got popped off even if he got out of that stun then.
The Gosu Crew continue their rampage, or will they start to tilt off that defeat from Zac and Drake? Already looking good for Drake. Double stun, beautiful combo. They could bop all in on Chun-Li. He ports, but his healer is still crowd controlled. Drake's in pursuit. Where's the Karma? Hey, Karma's, where's the bop? Do they go for it? They're not going to go for it. Very surprising decision there from Zac. I was anticipating an all-in, but they decide to hold their hand. But now they're in trouble as Chun-Li leads the charge.
Yeah, that was quite a lot of damage coming out from Drake, but looks like Drake will be the one under siege now, as he is dropping to about 40% health. Zac with the wings, he gets immediately cloned on that. Drake pops the Fortifying Brew and rolls over to Gorecki to try and kick a clone. Not able to get it, as Gorecki does a great fake there, as Gorecki jumps in, bashes Zac, which is immediately answered with the human racial.
All right, let's see. Cyclone at low health. If they can deny Zac's healing during this Avenging Wrath, it will put him very far behind. He's trying to pick Drake up at the end of these Cyclones, but his Avenging Wrath is faded, so it's going to be very difficult to do so. Once again, Chun-Li in a position where he's ramping up for maybe a double kill. Zac and Drake are on the run to avoid Chun-Li. Gorecki's in stealth, pouncing in. Huge damage onto Drake. Karma barely at the last second to make it out alive there. We're not even a minute and 20 seconds into this game, and it is back and forth constantly.
It is very back and forth. Drake got very lucky getting that karma off there, but it was very good because it meant Zach didn't have to commit any of his bops or sack for the later game. But here's the in-cap. Couldn't quite get the clone from Gorecki though, unfortunately. Gorecki wild charges in with that bear root, tries to get a clone off that immediately jumps out of danger's way as he may be scared of Drake punishing him in that middle in-cap form. But Gorecki now going for the clone once again. Changes to stop that and just gets hodged in the middle. But a beautiful ringer piece put down by Chun-Li, completely negating all of Drake's damage on that go. And it's FPK Teal who are once again crumbling under the pressure of the Gosu Crew.
Oh no, double stun. This spells trouble. How is Drake going to make it out alive? Chun-Li trinkets for the kill. Zach can't respond in time. This one very match, it is Ruins of Lordaeron, and it would be a fitting final resting place as it is a cemetery.
Very good. Very good.
You're not going to continue off that? That was throw to you, bro.
All right. Well, since it's a fitting final resting place, I will go. Yeah, sure. Right, so here comes the in-cap onto Gorecki. Nothing too much happening off that, though. The stun isn't there. There's a stun instead onto Zach and Drake. The Storm, Earth, and Fire pop by Chun-Li, kind of cleaving both targets on the side of FPK Teal, though, not committing his touch of death just yet as the in-cap goes on to Zach once again. The clone does follow up, and they are just getting druided all over as Drake has to use his fortifying brew so early on in the game.
This is devastating right now for both Zach and Drake. Zach is stunned on his Divine Favor. He wants to connect a big heal here. If he gets crowd controlled, it could overwhelm him, but no, Zach is able to connect the heals, save the day, and allow themselves to at least stay alive in the tournament. They've only managed to put 1 point on the board. It was off the back of one of the most difficult maps I've ever seen. So can they do it again? They would need to win 3 more games. They're on the ropes. It's match point. First place on the line. Gorecki reads the situation like a book. Pre-Iron Barks the incoming crowd control, totally shutting down the assault there, forcing them to go after Gorecki instead. But Gorecki then using Ring of Peace to prevent the connect, to get a clone, jumping into stealth in the near future if Zach isn't careful, then switching over for a clone, gets paralysis. Oh, they end up breaking it. Maybe a bit of a misplay there between Zach and Drake. Chun-Li leading the charge. That thorns on Chun. Drake doesn't want to attack into it while his healer is crowd controlled, so he's just at the mercy of Chun.
He is definitely at the mercy of Chun. Zach is just getting completely railed the entire game, and here comes another double stun onto Zach and Drake. Is Gorecki there for the follow-up cycle, and he tries to get it, but gets completely outranged, unfortunately. Gorecki being a little bit more safe this game. The other game, he would be in for the cat form, doing that big damage, but he recognized that he can as well dampen a little bit and just play a little bit safer, as he doesn't need to commit this early on in the game.
Gorecki sneaking away. What is he going to be able to get done? Not re-stealthing just yet. Chun-Li is just devastating both Zach and Drake. Gorecki jumps into the fray, double stunning him up for Chun-Li to just have at them. Drake at 50%, Zach getting swapped to Chun-Li everywhere on this map right now. Mana tied. That's the one thing that Gorecki needs to be careful. But they're using the room similarly to how they did in Hook Point to lock Chun-Li in the starting area and try and punish him. But you don't want to be locked in a room with Chun-Li. I don't know if that's going to work. Drake has to abandon the mission, try and run, but he's got Gorecki and Chun-Li right on top of him. Chun rolls over to maybe interrupt Zach. Zach gets interrupted. This is going to put him very far behind. Karma trades out for Drake. Avenging Wrath up just in the nick of time. Now, if he gets cycloned on this, he gets stunned on it. He decides to trinket, but he may trinket into a clone. Gorecki's moving in, trying to fake cast potentially on a roll kick. Gets hammered. Zach should stabilize with the Avenging Wrath. The concentrated flame attempt here onto Chun to pull touch of Karma, making sure they keep Crackling Jade on Gorecki so he doesn't re-stealth. Good awareness from Drake. Definitely wanted to deny re-stealth as much as possible, but Drake unable to stop the clone. And Gorecki is going to jump into the fight, stunning Zach. It's 2-on-1. What are you going to do, Zach? You're very low on health. It's match point. He gets Ring of Peace, but Vortex back out of line of sight, but Cycloned. Gorecki's Vortexes into Cyclones have been beautiful. Now looking to re-stealth into a stun potentially off the back of it. Gorecki sneaking around, but Drake finds him in stealth. Beautiful spinning kick there. Pulling Gorecki away from finding a stun. Potentially could have netted a Divine Shield from Zach. Drake's awareness to Gorecki throughout this fight is critical, and so far, he's doing excellently.
He is doing excellently indeed, and Drake is now under the pressure, but he gets the trinket, the double leg sweep, and Chun-Li is under siege. The full clone goes onto the Zac though, and Drake is trying to kite as best he can. He does not have Karma available. There is Sack though for the side of FPK Teal, so if they live a little bit longer, they do have the cooldowns for it if they can use them this game. But it seems that the Gosu Crew do not have any trinkets though, so that window of opportunity is open. There is Touch of Death, and there is no trinket on Gareki or Chun-Li.
All right, let's see what they can get done here. They're on the ropes, 14 seconds away. Trying to get stunned around the corner, but knocked in the line of sight of a Dispel. And now Zac's in trouble. He fakes the interrupt, but gets cloned. Now Drake is in trouble. He may have to Karma. I feel like he needs to. He's so low on health. 48% dampening. Match point. Tournament lives on the line. Cloned on the Karma instantly. Zac now on the run. Gets Ring of Peace away from his retreat into the room. Just running around in midfield, trying to recover. Avenging Wrath popped. Do they have crowd control for the Avenging Wrath? They do. They paralyze him. Gareki's looking for a re-stealth. He could stun Zac. He decides instead to stun Drake and stall rather than play aggressive. Definitely playing into the strengths of the Druid at this point. They paralyze Chun-Li. They're desperate. They're just trying to stall and allow Zac to recover. He's just been bombing Holy Lights, but they're doing nothing at 51% dampening. Drake is cloned. Gareki jumps in. This has to be a bop or a Divine Shield. They clones him at the end of it. Drake is rotting down, and the Gosu Crew are whittling forward to try and find another double kill here in the Grand Finals.
They are, and it seems like Drake had to use his Battle Master trinket defensively there, so this Touch of Karma is not going to be as big as he wanted it to be. He is running after Gareki to try and finish him off, but Gareki just pops Thorns and cat forms him right back. The Diffuse Magic comes out from Drake, but that does leave him open to some Maledicts later on. Seems like Drake now trying to run away, and there is the Maledict, as I was saying. The Blessing of Sacrifice does come out from Zac. Is he playing a big sack this game? It does seem like it. Here comes the pop, the offensive pop. This is what we've been looking for. The Touch of Death comes out, it's answered with a bark skin, but the trinket comes up just in the nick of time, and this go was just too little, too late.
Oh, full stun Gareki is going to town right now. 2 members on till 1 of FPK Teal. Absolutely overwhelming. The Gosu Crew going to be taking GCD TV Winter Brawl 2v2 Championship.